Hello everyone and welcome to this new video about level design. In this episode, we're going to discuss an important concept in level design, that is how we chain our scenes together, and how we can get a more bird's-eye view of our game to make an overall cross-scene flow for our players. Cause indeed, parallel to the flow inside our levels, which is crucial to indicating the right path, guiding the players in their discovery of our world, and maintaining their interest in our game, it's also essential to remember that all the scenes have to be related in some way. And although it may seem easy to just stack those scenes back to front and call it a day, in truth, there are two things to keep in mind when thinking about this high-level game flow. First, the players have to understand where they are and how far they've come in the game. So you need to tell them at least a little bit when a scene is done and when a new one starts. And second, games like any software require computers to load resources in order to display everything on screen. So scenes have to be loaded up, and the larger or the more complex the level, the longer it will be to load. This means that you have to take this into account and consider this crucial technology pain point when crafting your scene-to-scene player experience. Now, a good way to take care of both those things is to simply integrate a level selection screen, or hub-like menus such as the one in Crash Bandicoot. This is of course a simple way of addressing the issues, and it allows the gamers to clearly see their progression and apprehend the scope of the adventure. You can even add some extra levels or floor that unlock after completing some challenges to further give players this sense of accomplishment and reward them for playing through the game. But this technique is also fairly limited in terms of immersion. Here, the links between each level are a bit artificial or on the nose. Laying out all your levels like this rarely fits in the game's story, and even when it does, for example, turning the book's pages in Storyteller doesn't take you out of the experience, and moving around Mario's levels map is always nice, having a level selection menu is still a pretty specific gameplay moment with its own tempo. Of course, over the years, game creators have thought of other ways of going from one scene to another, and in particular they've developed some new techniques for linking levels more seamlessly. Think about a scripted corridor-based game like The Last of Us. In this game, the players progress through the story as they would in a movie, without big pauses to pick and load up the next chapter. So despite the game clearly having several scenes, with different locations, times and characters, those scenes are cleverly organized to feel more like one long line of events. As explained in this cool video by the Outside Xbox channel's crew, this exact same philosophy was used in a lot of really famous games, which disguised their loading screens and scene-to-scene transitions in various ways, like the slow elevators in the first Mass Effect, the doors in Resident Evil, or even the neat camera movements in Final Fantasy's encounters. If you're looking for an excellent case example, Batman Arkham Asylum actually did a great job on that part, since you don't really have any noticeable loading screen throughout the entire game. This is possible thanks to cleverly designed small rooms and corridors that don't take too much time to load, cinematized vistas when you do get to larger areas to allow the computer to finish up loading while you admire the view, or the slowed down walk Batman has to take whenever talking to Oracle. That's all fine, but then of course you have the next level nightmare games in terms of loading screens, the open worlds. In those games, you are explicitly telling players that there are no levels and no loading screens, and that they'll be free to roam about in virtually any direction at any time. Sounds like quite a challenge in terms of game making, right? Well, yes, but luckily we have some tricks up our sleeves to cope with this problem. What you have to remember as a level designer is that a game always has levels. They may be merged into one big world by a pretty road, but each castle in Elden Ring is its own location, and each island in Breath of the Wild has its own logic. Just because they aren't separated by a loading screen doesn't mean you can't design each part of your open world on their own, and then connect them in a smart way. Nowadays, modern game engines can help you hide the ugly truth of open worlds being a patchwork of smaller scenes by chopping down the environment into small enough chunks to have them load almost instantly, and by preparing some low-level resolution objects in the distance to suggest to the players that there is more behind the horizon. Anyway, on that note, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial about level design and that you learned a few things about game levels and loading screens, disguised or not. If you did, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, don't hesitate to leave a comment with your own ideas for future level design tutorials. As always, thanks for watching, and take care.